All right, so are sneakers still dead? I would say over the last year or so, this has been a major topic of conversation. Although I would say generally, the majority of that conversation does pertain to sneaker resale value. That's a whole nother topic for a separate video. Today, I kind of want to just stick to my personal journey here in the world of sneakers, or almost my interpretation through my point of view, what we've seen here in the landscape of sneakers over the last few years or so. And of course, everybody's not going to agree with what I'm saying, so that's what the comment section down below is for you guys to do. Please share your opinions. I would love to hear what you guys think. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with Adidas. Now, from what I remember growing up, like all the times that I was coming up, I never remember wearing a pair of Adidas. It wasn't until like maybe around 2015 where I bought my first pair of Stan Smiths. See, at that point in my life, I was kind of going through this phase where I was getting tired of Jordan retro releases. I want to say the last pair of Jordan retros I remember copping around that time were the Legend Blue Jordan 11s, around the holidays at that time. So over around then, I was wearing nothing pretty much but just like Air Force Ones. I bought my first pair of Stan Smiths, as we mentioned. I went from Stan Smiths to Gazelles, from Gazelles to Ultra Boost, and then something really crazy happened. We had the whole Adidas Yeezy wave kick off, and from there, pretty much everything else was history. They just kicked off things with a bang, coming with silhouette after silhouette. We started off with what? We got the 750s, then they went to the Yeezy 350, to the 700s, the 500s, and so on. Around that time, I actually created this channel right here, and even though without this channel, I would say I would still be kind of locked in and laser focused on what everything Adidas and Yeezy were dropping, because it was just like a time you just had to be there, when it was happening. So of course, everything ended with Adidas and Yeezy like around 2022 or something like that. But I would say from like the time of like 2016, 2017, all the way to like 2020, 2021, I was laser focused and just locked in on everything Adidas and Yeezy, and kind of took a blind eye to everything else, happening here in the sneaker world. Like just briefly, momentarily, would just check on things from time to time, but pretty much the only thing I cared about was Adidas and Yeezy. So now that that whole partnership is ending, of course, we've seen over the last year or so, Adidas is pretty much just unloading all of the leftover inventory. Who knows if they will drop more pairs? Some people think they will, others think they won't. I pretty much really don't care at this point, and kind of just ready for both parties to move on from here. As far as my interpretation of things, it looks like right now with Adidas dropping all of these leftover pairs, I'm looking at it as like they're just looking to cook the books, trying to boost up their numbers as much as possible. But now that all of these pairs are going to be sold, at one point Adidas will have to move on from this partnership. So I'm just curious to know, what the future holds for Adidas here in the world of sneakers. Now, when it comes to Nike and Jordan brand, of course, we all know they are leaders here in the industry. And remember when I mentioned that coming up, I can never really remember a time rocking Adidas. That's because I was pretty much rocking nothing but Nike and Jordan brand. I feel like a lot of people that grew up in the 90s would share a similar story, which is why Nike is so invested into their nostalgia, into their storytelling, bringing back all of these classic pairs, which they like to release time and time again. Now, of course, when it comes to Nike as well, one of their biggest criticisms would be their lack of innovation, something that I feel like hasn't really affected them overall just yet, but I think in the next few years or so, it will be something that will come back to bite Nike, as we see a lot of the other brands are starting to gain momentum. Of course, we know Nike's like all the way up here while everybody else is all the way down here, but I would definitely say that some of these other brands are starting to gain a little bit of room here, in that race or whatever. So we also notice with Nike, in the last like few years or so, there's been this big boom when it comes to sneaker reseller. I shouldn't even say the last few years or so. This probably started around like, let's say 2013 or something like that, when we saw apps like StockX, GOAT have a huge impact here in the world of sneakers. We saw everybody, now not looking to get sneakers to wear, but looking to resell. We also had the big pandemic, COVID, like 2020. A lot of people jumped into the sneaker game simply just to resell shoes. And of course, Nike, they noticed. So just like with all great things that, hit a peak, they also have to come to an end as well. We saw Nike wanted to get a little bit of this resale money. What they did, up stock numbers, also up retail prices. And in return, of course, you have the effect where Jordan Retros, which were once flipping for like double, triple the price, now sitting on shelves going for under resale. The kids calling them bricks, everything like that, jumping out the game. So right now it seems like a lot of the vultures are starting to leave the sneaker game, which I think honestly is a great thing. I think things are starting to kind of get back to the way they are. And as far as Nike and Jordan brand, while I would say they are doing a pretty decent job of what their releases are doing right now, I think they're really tapped in to what's happening on the scene, as you see here moving forward, coming into 2025. It looks like they are bringing back a lot of classic, well-known Jordan retro releases and saving some of those off-brand retro colorways for their Jordan remix line, or Team Jordans, as we used to call them back in the day. So I think they have a good ear to the streets of what the people are looking for. We just want them to up the stock numbers on some of those more hype limited releases. But I understand they still want to do these like limited, overhyped releases to drive up demand and everything like that. But I like what they're doing when it comes to their Jordan retro releases. So are sneakers still dead? I think I pretty much answered my own question here. It's pretty much a thing where we saw a lot of vultures jump into the game, and now that resale isn't what it once was, we see a lot of those same people now jumping out the game. And with all of that being said, I think sneakers are coming to a point where things are starting to feel like how they used to be. And if you had to ask me overall what's my favorite brand, you know, while we have Nike as the leaders at the top, you have Adidas, you know, doing their thing, but I would have to actually give it to New Balance as my favorite brand overall. I started to kind of get into New Balance end of 2021. Of course, we got to give props to the DMV for putting New Balance on the map for years, but you know, as my time coming up, I really ignored New Balance. I never really could care less about them. So with me jumping into this brand, it's kind of like giving me a newfound appreciation for this classic brand right here. All of these silhouettes are almost like new to me. So I would say like 2021, 2022 was like really like the peak for New Balance. And I would say over the last couple of years, I haven't really loved everything they've been putting out. While I think they're doing a better job than Adidas and Nike, I would say they haven't really put out a new model that has had the success, in my opinion, to something like the 9060. We know the 1906R is definitely doing its thing right now, but I would say New Balance has attempted to do something with the Warped Runner, a model which hasn't really caught on just like that yet. And they're trying to do something big with bringing back the New Balance 1000. But then again, I feel like that's a model that's not gonna hit as hard as the 9060 was. So New Balance, what's up with the 9060? We know you guys are still putting out new colorways, but what's going on with all of the major collaborations? I feel like this is a model that they are underutilizing, and rather than just putting out a whole bunch of 1906Rs, why not hit us with something from the 9060? Why not hit us with the 860 V2? Hit us with some of your more retro models out the catalog. I know they're bringing back more classics, but we're just ready for more, of course, you know what I'm saying? So with all of that being said, let me know what you guys think here about the current state of sneakers. What do you like? What do you hate right now about everything going on? And we can't forget, you know, he's cooking up something with the independent Yeezy brand. Rumor has it that he's gonna be planning to drop a new $20 sneaker coming up sometime here in the near future. So drop your feedback down below. Just wanted to check in with you guys here on the weekend. I'm J.A. Make sure you guys stay safe, stay blessed, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm out, and I'll catch y'all next time. Love. Oh, also happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. All right, I'm out, y'all. Salute.